Mike Detillier, along with the CEO of Thibodaux Regional Medical Center, Greg Stock, man himself, Pete Jenkins, Louisiana Line Camp, over 30 years. Pete, Greg and I were talking about this record number of kids here, 700. And that's a testimony, one, to the kids and the parents that they want to be here. Also testimony to you and the staff that you have here.
Well, thank you for saying that. I look at it, too, just like you described, Mike. It shows you, and money is hard right now. I mean, people had to reach deep to get to, but it shows a great deal of love, and it shows how much football means to us here in the state of Louisiana. That speaks to me about that. And look, that staff right there, I mean, it's one of the best groups of men off the field and one of the best groups of coaches on the field I've ever been around.
Pete, thinking about it, and Greg and I have spoken about this in the past, that I think we have a greater appreciation, athletic trainers, people that work for Thibodaux Regional. Greg, you put a lot of time and effort into getting these athletic trainers to work these camps, not on Louisiana Line Camp, Manning right behind it. So we got like 2,000 young men and women that are here, and they're working these camps to make sure hydrated, and if something goes wrong, they spot it, and I think that's a big part of it, right?
Yeah, we have some great trainers, I think, and they are organized, and in both cases, it's how many trainers do you need? What credentials do they have when they come in? Because they're not all from here, right? So there's 80 or 90 that come in from Archie's, for Archie's passing academy. And our lead guys are, I think, real skilled at it. And then the process, pulling somebody out, these great big guys are over here in these ice baths, they're watching them to see if the dehydration goes in the wrong direction. If it does, they're going to take other steps, things like that. That in the end help support the effort, what you're trying to do here, and make it a better experience for the young men and a safer experience.
No doubt.
That's what we try to do. Yeah.
Here's the crazy part. We all grew up in a different era. No water breaks, didn't drink no water, nothing.
Never.
And how that has changed dramatically, guys, over the last few years, where you taking a break, you much more concerned, because we're more knowledgeable of what could happen, worst case scenario.
And let me say something to you. It's so comforting. It's so comforting to a coach to know that you have professionals that are going to be there in case you need them.
One of the things, and Greg is also part of this, is learning from some of the best in the business. You've been able to work with, from Paul Dietzel, Bill Arnsparger, Nick Saban, Andy Reid throughout the years.
Yeah. Actually, I've been blessed to work with some really great people as well as great football coaches.
Well, you're a great person. You attract those people. You relate to them.
Well, and I didn't always do that, I don't think. I mean, I've grown like all of us should. I've grown in, I hope I'm wiser than I was. People tell me sometimes, you're really wise and everything. I'm just old. One of my favorite sayings, it's a Belichick and Saban thing, is do your job and do it to the very best of your ability. Because you got a lot of other people depending on you to do that job. So accepting your role and getting people to accept a role now isn't always easy, because it may not be what they have in mind for themselves. Okay? But understanding your role, accepting your role, and putting your piece of the puzzle into place leads to a successful team effort. I think you'd agree with that. And unselfishness. I was sitting with Mr. Lurie, the owner, one day of the Eagles at lunch. And I don't want you to think we were having lunch together. It was in the team dining hall and everything. And I wasn't.
And it was an open spot, so Lurie sat.
Yeah. It wasn't like he and I were out doing lunch together or anything. But anyway, I ran in a little different circle than Mr. Lurie did. Anyways, he said to me, Pete, what do you really like in the defensive lineman? And I said, well, I'm like everybody else. I like a big old guy that can run as quick as a cat, mean as a snake. I said, and can react to stimulus. but I also like unselfishness. And I remember him looking at me, and what made Henry Thomas so great was he was such an unselfish human being. It was about, I'm going to try like hell to do good, but I want my teammates to have success also.
Impressive.
Guys, we're going to wrap it up. Great to have you.
Thank you.
The legendary Pete Jenkins, the CEO of Thibodaux
Great
Regional
job.
Medical Center.
Great job.
Greg Stock, Mike Detillier, thank you for watching.
Thanks, Mike.